What's up, guys?
What did you see from both Tatum Bethune and D. Winters in Sunday's game after?
I thought they did a good job. You know, they were running around hitting. Obviously, there was a couple plays I think we all we wish we had back. But overall, for Tatum, I think he did a nice job, and I think he'll be even better this week after having an entire week of practice. No, you're good.
Tatum was saying it's important for him to be himself and not try to be Fred. What's Tatum's leadership style like?
He does. No, you know, I think comparing people is always dangerous, right? Or trying to find parallels. Fred's his own man. Just like when Fred took over, God, was it in 2018? He was after having a string of Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis. It's Tatum's opportunity to go run the defense and run the show, and Tatum just needs to be Tatum. He doesn't have to make any plays that are spectacular. He just needs to make his play, and as he gets reps and he gets comfortable. A lot of people got to remember he's only in his second year. You can really call him a rookie because he didn't get much playing time last year. He's just got to bank these reps, see the game, and again, the more he gets reps, the more he sees, the faster he'll get.
How close you are to Fred, and the fact that he's never hurt. This has never been that guy. How has this one hit you?
It does for Fred. You know, like he's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, period, and he still has so many more years left in the tank, and for it to kind of for this season to end the way it did, just shameful, but at the same time, you know, I know if we all know Fred, he's probably gunning to see if he can make it back for a playoff run. So it's you know, he's in great spirits. Surgery went great. He's going to be around the building, I'm sure, the entire time. But I hurt more for Fred than anything else.
A couple questions. One about Fred. How challenging is it to kind of make sure that the defense doesn't drop off with someone like Fred not out there? And then the other question, after you answer that one, Tatum Bethune, what is it that you saw in him that, you know, solidified him in your mind as the right next man up to fill this position in Fred's absence?
For sure. First off, with Tatum, you know, Fred didn't practice throughout OTAs, so he had a lot of banked reps with the ones throughout OTAs, which is, you know, which is actually a benefit at this point. But Tatum's made of the right stuff. He works the right way. He communicates the right way. He does things the right way. He's very confident in his ability. And I've said this to a million people as it pertains to drop-off. I dare any of you to go to Tatum and say, well, you're a backup, so I expected it. Tatum doesn't see that. His teammates don't see that. Every player in that locker room believes that they can start and they can play at a high level. They just need an opportunity to do so. And this is now Tatum's opportunity. And the growth that he'll experience between now and week, however many weeks are in NFL season now, Game 17 is going to be significant. I can promise that. And I'm excited to see him grow throughout this process.
What makes someone a good fit to play middle linebacker in your defense?
Their ability to communicate. You know, we've kind of narrowed it down. Back when I first got in the league, the Sam backer was like 240 longs at the edge. Will linebacker was kind of smaller and fast, and the Mike linebacker was kind of in between. I believe it was 2019 when we shifted the profile to just, they're all the same guy. Whoever speaks and communicates the best is the Mike linebacker. And so in this case, Tatum is next up.
Robert, you guys have made some such plays on defense to finish off some wins, but are you racking your brain trying to figure out how to get more production out of the pass rush and the secondary?
We're always, you know, it's been obviously frustrating because I feel like we've had our opportunities to get some hands on some footballs and get some interceptions. It's just been feels like one of those years, but they come in bunches. But as far as the pass rush is concerned and coverage is concerned, we're always trying to find ways to do it. Thought we did a good job for the most part against Tampa. You know, we had the 3rd and 14, and Baker's been doing it to everybody, getting out of the pocket. We picked up a sack. You know, so but to answer your question, we're always trying to find ways, for sure.
Go back to Tampa and just explain what happened on the play where you didn't have the right defensive end in.
Yeah. From a communication standpoint, between special teams and getting guys out on the field, like I said, shameful that it happened that way from a communication standpoint, and so I'm always going to beat myself up off that because that starts with me.
These young defenders played really well, I thought, in the second half. There were some busts. How do you get them to kind of play loose and fast, not all gas, no brakes, but then still the attention to the details so you don't have those busts?
The speed at which you want them to play is go. I don't care how, go fast. You're going to make a mistake, go fast doing it. The detail comes with reps. And, so with these young guys, the last thing you want to do is cripple them. The beauty of them is that they're explosive, they're fast, they're hungry, it's a race to be the first to the ball. So you don't want to pull back on that. It is so to answer the first part, it is full go 100%. And you just stay on the details and you just keep coaching it and coaching it and coaching it. And eventually all the little things that are happening from a mistake standpoint that cost you, whether they cost you touchdowns or explosive plays, like a couple did in the game, you trust that if they just keep the mindset, keep that full speed mentality, and stay attentive to the details, eventually those will cancel out.
I have a follow-up to that. The rookies, obviously, a lot has been expected of them this whole time. Do you have to caution them in some ways to not press when guys like Fred and Mose are going to try not to do too much and kind of keep on their path, so to speak?
I don't think they know any better. They're just going out there and they're playing the game as best they can, and a lot of times they're just playing off of pure physical ability. There's a lot of things happening mentally that they're still unaware of. And get into a whole dissertation as to why the second-year slump happens, because now they think they know, and they lock themselves up, and they forget why they were so good as rookies, and they're just out there playing. And so there's, like I said, there's going to be mistakes. They're going to gain some scars, but as long as they're getting those scars at 100 miles an hour, you trust that eventually they'll learn and maintain their speed while executing at a very high level.
Coach Kyle Shanahan was asked about Pinnock and the difference in snaps in week 6 versus the weeks previous, and he kind of mentioned that Jair kind of earned that role. You can just kind of speak to what you guys saw each week from Jair when he was taking more snaps in special teams that kind of helped him to kind of thrust himself back into that position. Yeah,
Jair's been consistent, and and to be clear, like, that spot's not dead. The one thing I'll say is that Malik is starting. And as we continue to build up his rep count to get him to where he needs to be from a conditioning standpoint, although he's conditioned, it's anyway, long story on that one. But as Malik transitions into getting every single snap, that is the one common denominator, in that he'll be starting. On the other side, Tig's done a really nice job throughout training camp and throughout the first 3 weeks of the season, giving himself the ability to step in there and earn the trust of his teammates and his coaches. And now he's got an opportunity to shut the door at that free safety spot. But and it's nothing against Siegel or Pinnock. They've both done a really nice job. It's just giving him an opportunity, and eventually, as we develop that group, we'll find the right combination of guys to compete.
Beyond the obvious talent of the running backs, what's kind of has made the Atlanta ground game so successful?
Yeah, their O-line is arguably one of the better ones in football. Very talented group. I think they're very well coached. They're doing a really nice job creating issues in the run game, creating lanes, creating space. The backs, obviously, both of them are outstanding. They're different style runners, but they're both outstanding, and they do a great job scheming it up. So all-encompassing. Their receivers block. Their O-line is pretty damn good. Their backs are special. So, and then you got to respect the quarterback, because he is able to off-play action pass, make you pay, and the receivers can make you pay in the pass game. So they've done a really good job building it. They've done a great job coaching it, and the players are doing an outstanding job executing it.
What do you think
Does
of Drake
Warner?
London?
Did Charlie Warner stick out to you as a blocking tight end?
He's doing a lot. He kind of feels like I don't want to say exactly the same as Juice, but he does a lot for them. And whether it's in the backfield as an extra running back to allow Bijan to be a receiver in third down, whether it's a lead fullback, whether it's getting out and pass route, whatever it is, whatever there is that they're asking him to do, he does it, and he does it at a pretty high level. So he's been impressive.
Teams will have to defend a guy like London in the quick game. It seems like they're going to him in the quick game. Why is that so hard to defend?
He's such a big body. He's a massive man with great length, strong at the catch point, strong. He's just strong overall, and then at the catch point, his hands are strong. So he's a difficult matchup.
Special team.
Is Fred Warner's really, his leadership obviously is very strong. Is part of it was speaking after game to the team. Does that carry over and does it linger? Does it continue on even in his absence?
Yeah, because I think he'll be around the locker room. He's not. I texted him the other day. I was like, "You ain't dead, you know. Like, you can come still hang out, grab a cup of coffee, and shoot the shit." But no, he's Fred's special, and like I said, it's unfortunate, but it's someone else's time, and it's their time it's their opportunity, and really looking forward to seeing all these guys grow in their roles. We can do one more. You've been trying.
Special teams will have a lot to do with it, but is there an opportunity for Nick Martin now that there's a spot that's
Yeah, no, and Nick's had a great week of practice so far. It's only been 2 days. Hopefully, he finishes it off strong tomorrow. But I thought today was outstanding without looking at the tape. Flashed in one-on-ones, flashed on special teams, and he flashed on team defense. So he, again, continued to grow, continue to find ways to get better, and see if he can carve out a role for himself. All right, guys. Appreciate you.
All right. Ready to roll.
Impressions of Kendrick Bourne and the strides he's made since he's been here this year?
Yeah, kind of the same things we've been saying. He's really impressive. You know, the way how much he's playing given how short a time he's been here, and he's been kind of forced into that role because of the injuries. He's just super competitive. He's making plays. It's not perfect. There's stuff he's got to clean up every week, but he's totally like bought in, and he's just getting better. He's learning, and he's competing, and it's showing up on the field on Sunday. And so he's been a huge contributor for us, and just, you know, really cool to see that, and happy to see him keep getting better.
Holberg's defense, you pretty much know what you're going to get. He's going to play a lot of man, and he's going to bring a lot of pressure, and that's what the numbers say. What does it look like when you watch it?
Yeah, they play man. They definitely bring a lot of pressure, but then they have their shell coverages, and they mix it up, and it's really, really good defense. It's very sound. They're really athletic and young, and they play with a lot of passion, and they make plays, and it's everything's tied together. And the reason why I think they're ranked number one, or depending on which metric you use, they're up there, and they're really good. It's a huge challenge for us, and you know, we're getting ready for it, but it's going to be very challenging on Sunday for sure.
I know you go into each week wanting to put points up on the board, but just wondering if, given the state of the defense, losing two cornerstones in Bosa and Fred Warner, is there any added emphasis, any added pressure to kind of score more, take more advantage of the red zone possessions?
You know, it's not added pressure. I mean, yeah, we always want to score more. It doesn't matter what's going on the defensive side of the ball. We got to do our job. I think if you start thinking about anything other than that, that's when you kind of get distracted from that goal. So I think our goal is to continue to get better. We want to score more points. We want to be more efficient, and, you know, keep believing in what the defense is doing and just play our game. So.
Was kind of lamenting yesterday the lack of explosive plays that you guys, the numbers would suggest that as well. What have you seen in terms of not being able to get those as often as you have in the past, and how can you kind of get there?
I think it's harder in general to get explosives in the league now, the way defenses play. I think, you know, people are so, you know, it's such an emphasis on defensive football to just limit explosives. So that's a big part of it. Some of it is just luck. Some of it's just missing something here, missing something there. It's not something you try to overcorrect or anything. You think those will come your way if you keep playing the right way. I truly feel that way. I think they'll come in the run game. I think they'll continue to come in the pass game if we keep playing the right way and getting better. So.
How has Kittle looked so far this week, and how can he be helpful in that regard?
Oh yeah, I mean, he's looking good. He's great to have him back out there. You know, he's been working back into practice. He's definitely one of our most explosive players. That definitely helps, you know, to answer your question.
The untrained eye, it looks almost like Mac Jones just hit the ground running for you guys. But do you see him making progress every week and getting better still?
Yeah, I do. It's really cool. And, you know, this week, he didn't get to practice a lot last week. And this week you see more progress because he's practicing. And even he owned that, you know, last week. He needs to practice. He needs to keep getting those reps. He gets better every week, in my opinion. He gets more comfortable with kind of our operation, our offense. He gets more confident. So it's cool to see a player ascend that way and just continue to grow.
Watkins had a good camp for you guys and then had a couple big injuries, and he's working his way back.
Yep.
How much would you like to introduce him into this, you know, into your offense from scrimmage?
Definitely. We'd love to. You know, he just got back this week. You know, we got to kind of see where he's at physically and work him back in. You know, and then it's a slow progression, and we would love to get him out there on the field and contributing for us. And he's a guy we really liked in the offseason. We liked how much he got better. The setbacks happen, but he's got to continue to push himself, kind of where Ricky was last year. We were you got to grow and you got to keep pushing yourself and practicing hard, and you know, eventually your time will come. So.
Similar with Jordan James, what does he need to do to kind of get himself into the mix too?
Yeah,
he had injuries also.
It's the same. You know, you got to keep working. Jordan's been stacking some really good weeks here. He had the injuries in camp, but you know, this past month he's had really good practices, and he's a guy who's going to be ready to go when his number's called. You know, I mean, how things shake out on game day with the numbers and how many backs we dress, you know, that's things he can't control. But his time will come. I feel that, and he's practicing really well. And when his time does come, I'm excited about him. So.
You haven't had Kittle. He's obviously a great all-around player, but you know, maybe you get a better appreciation when you don't have him. What would you say is the trait that you really do appreciate most about his game?
Yeah. I mean, I think you mentioned the explosiveness. I think that's one thing. You know, when the ball's in his hands, his ability to separate from guys, George accounts for a lot of explosive plays in our offense just because of his athletic ability. But just how good he is in the run and pass game. He's not a guy that fits into a box. He does both equally very well, which means you don't have to take him off the field. You don't have to adjust what you're calling because he's in the game. He can protect, he can block the run game, and he's an elite, passing game guy. And I think you definitely miss that. You miss a tool like that when he's not out there, and when he's out there, we really appreciate it. So, yeah.
Kind of a random question, but both Brock and Mac wear the wristband with the play sheet on
Yeah.
it. And what are kind of the pros and cons of doing that, and why do you guys like to go that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not we don't do it in the off season. We don't wear the wristband because we want guys getting used to hearing calls and then being able to paint a picture in their head of what we're calling, and whether it's the formation, protection, run game, whatever. We want guys to just get comfortable with the verbiage. When you get into the season, you start to talk about a lot more, checks in our can system. You start to talk about more motions and different formations and getting guys lined up in a certain spot, and the wristband kind of takes care of that. And so I guess what I'm saying is the verbiage picks up once you get in season, and the wristband can be necessary for that, especially for Kyle to call a play that's very verbose, and then the quarterback to have to call it again. It just takes time. So for us to just tell them, look at the wristband, look at this number, it saves us time, and it can get everyone kind of in the right spot. So I think it's just a necessary thing. I think a lot of people are using it now. So
It's kind of to set a base in the off season, and then you can build off of that.
totally. Yeah, in the offseason, we want guys listening and learning and being able to recall, you hear it and you recall it and you can communicate it in the huddle. We still do that. Not every play we have is wristbanded. Kyle's still calling a lot of plays to the quarterback, but in the offseason, we want to train him to hear and then to be able to regurgitate it back to the offense. So.
Vaughn just has had a great couple of weeks here. Did you see that potential in him this summer, and what has been the key for him outside of opportunity to kind of unlock what he's been able to do?
I mean, yeah, we've always been excited about Jake and what he's been able to do in the pass game. As in the off season, we really like those skill sets. We needed him to grow in the run game, and when George went out and he kind of stepped into that pass game role, we loved how he was producing. But it's been cool to see him grow as a complete player. What do I attribute that to? I think he's a guy who's taken advantage of every moment out there, and he gets better from it. The moment's not too big for him. He steps up when we need him to, and just a guy, the more he's out there, the better he gets. And, we're real happy with where he's at. So he's a big contributor for us.
You feel the chemistry between Mac Jones and Bourne right away at practice, and you see it now when you watch film of the plays?
Yeah, I mean, you could tell just their relationship. They're real comfortable with each other, but it took KB a little bit to kind of get caught up to speed just because he was so new to our offense, being away for so long. But you can tell those guys are they're locked in together and they have a great relationship. So yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good one.